Hello everyone and welcome back. In the previous lecture, we understand the difference between database and the database instance. Now it's time to go deep inside the database instance. In this lecture, we will understand two things: the server processes and the PGA. So in this lecture, we will learn the following. What is the server processes? Tasks of server processes. What is the PGA? And the Oracle dedicated server process, and also the Oracle shared server processes. Take it easy. We will understand it slowly. Okay. I told you before that the instance is a memory structures and the processes, and these manage the database files. So in this example, I told you that the Oracle instance containing two types of memory: system global area and the program global area. So I have SGA and PGA. So you can see here, I have here a system global area SGA, and this memory containing subcomponent like the shared pool, large pool, read-to-log buffer. Don't worry, we will understand it in details. And I have another memory called PGA. And also inside the database instance, I have two types of processes. I have the server processes and background processes. In order to understand this picture, you need 3 or 4 lectures. So it is not easy, but I will explain that for you in details. So in this lecture, we will only focus on this part, the PGA and the server processes, because it related to each others. Now let's start. Actually, Oracle start up a server processes to handle the requests of client processes. So the main purpose of the server process is to handle the request of client process. What is the meaning of the client process? Actually, it is the user session. So when the user connecting to database and trying to do SQL statement or select statement, Oracle will create a server process. So this is the main purpose of the server process. Okay. And also, the server process perform the work for the client program. Like what? Like parsing and running SQL statement, retrieving results to the client program. What is the meaning of retrieving result to the client program? Simply, it is reading database data from the database storage and loading that data into the Oracle instance buffer cache. We will understand what is the meaning of buffer cache in detail. So, another task for the server process that act on behalf of the client sessions. Now, a very important note. Each server process has its own cache dedicated for each connecting client. This cache is also known as the PGA. So this is the PGA. Now, for example, I have here a user. This user is doing select statement. So Oracle will create SP for this select statement, which means a server process. And we need a memory to handle this server process. So we call this memory as a PGA. So here in this example, I have one user session doing select statement. So this means Oracle will create SP, and this SP has its own PGA. More users equal more dedicated server process. Okay, so now we have to define what is the PGA. It is an unshared memory region reserved only for the specific user session connecting to that specific server process. What it contains? It contains data and control information used by the user server process when sorting data, joining large tables together as a part of SQL statement, and so on. So it contains specific information. So take it easy. I have a user connecting to database. He's doing select statement. Oracle will create SP, and this SP has its own PGA. That's it. Okay. Now the server process, we have two types of server processes. We have Oracle dedicated server process, and here I have one-to-one relation between connecting user sessions and server process. So in this example, if I have two users connecting to the database, this means I have two server processes. Now suppose that I have 1000 user connecting. This means that I have 1000 server process. Actually, this is not efficient. That's why we have another type of server process, which is Oracle shared server processes. And here, client user processes connect to a dispatcher. The dispatcher can support multiple client connections concurrently. So, shared server architecture eliminates the need for dedicated server processes for each connection. So this is the difference between dedicated and shared. Now, a very important note. Your database is always enabled to allow dedicated server process. So the first option is by default, but you must specially configure and enable shared server by setting one or more initialization parameters. So by default, I have this type of server process, which is Oracle dedicated server process. In order to enable the Oracle shared server processes, the database administrator should manually set the parameters for this type of processes. So I just want you to take it easy. Okay, that's it. So this is enough. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.